Good morning, although actually it's almost midday because I'm always very prone to jet lag somehow. So the first day I always can't wake up. Today, a special episode of Behind the Closed Doors for the very simple reason we have a lot of stuff that we have to go through. So join us for today's episode of Behind the Closed Doors. In the studio, but first things first, we have somebody you guys probably know if you ever visited the workshop. You know, we have interns sometimes, and sometimes they come back. So here we have our new intern for the coming period. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Daisy. I'm here for 10 weeks to do my internship at Studio FD with Franken and a week.
Now, if you think she looks familiar, that's absolutely true, because first we had Daisy as an intern, that's her. Then, right after, we had Steffi as an intern, and they do look alike, although they say no, and they wear each other's clothes, so that's very confusing. And now, we have Daisy back as an intern. And you know, I already bad with names, so this is gonna be a fun 10 weeks. So, up for the rest of the work, and the first thing I have to do is bring back the RV to the garage for its checkup and to check the batteries, because they're not good. What's wrong with the batteries? We don't know, but we have two very big household batteries inside the RV, and somehow they don't keep the power as much as the other ones did. So it has to go in for a checkup. They have to do that every year for safety, and they're also going to look at the batteries. So that's step one for today. Oh yeah, it starts right up. But that's the other battery. Because an RV actually has two different power grids. One, of course, is the engine battery, and we also have household batteries for everything in the back, like the satellite dish, the lights, and well, everything else. So, and the other batteries, that are the one that trouble me a little bit. Because we have solar panels, they do keep charged, but they should be able to keep everything running way longer than they do now. So they're gonna check that, and of course the safety check. First things I always do when we're home from a trip is of course making proper backups. And again guys, this is incredibly important because digital files, believe it or not, they can disappear. So what do? Well, on location I use two hard drives, the LaCie rugged drives. And I always have the backup of my hard drive from the PC or Mac that I travel with, and one extra backup. They also travel in two different bags. So if one bag gets lost or gets damaged or whatever, or stolen, I still have one of the hard drives in the other bag. So that's a double backup system. And at the moment we are copying everything to the Drobo and then a backup to the Synology. And only when it's on the Synology and the Drobo, that's when I delete the hard drives. But we also have mail time because we got some really cool stuff in. First thing that came in, and that's actually already opened because I couldn't wait, is my new laptop. And I'm gonna talk about that in a moment. The other thing that's actually now in front of Enoweek, we're gonna open now for you guys. And that's something that's very handy for another little device we added recently. Okay, now this is very handy, and you know what it is, right? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Ta-da!
Oh.
A focus target. Well, not exactly. Okay, what is this? Now, you remember that in the past we flew with the unique drones, right? And those are pretty big drones, so that means that you can put them in the grass and they can easily go up without any problems. Now, we switched to the MacBook Pro, which is a much smaller drone, and it has a little bit of problem when you're using it on high grass, because then the camera will be tilted, and let me put it this way, it doesn't work really nice. Now, with these targets, of course you can land on it because it now has auto landing, so it will find it back, but it's easier to put it on high grass. Just put it down and now you have a flat surface to fly your drone from. Look, that's our buddy Eric actually demonstrating how to fold up the drone pad. You see? Easy peasy. And if you want, you can also use LED lighting on the sides, green and ice blue. Okay, and now the other thing that I want to talk about, and that's actually the DELL. Now, why a DELL? Well, this was my workhorse up until now. This is the 15-inch MacBook Pro, end 2014 I believe. Let me put it this way. That's the MacBook Pro that still has the great keyboard and that has all the ports, and that's just as fast as the ones that's being released now. Or it's not just as fast, but it's not much slower, let me put it that way. So why this shiny new laptop? Well, a lot of people have asked me this, like, Frank, are you crazy? Are you gonna leave the Mac and go for the PC? In the studio we already did. Behind me there's already a big PC. And I already explained this before, so I'm not gonna go in depth, but I just want to give you some little bit of info before I show you these two next to each other. In my opinion, Apple a few years ago was absolutely at the top of the game. You paid premium prices, but you got the fastest systems, the most advanced systems, and just the most beautiful created systems. I still believe that the Apple Watch, the iPhone, the iPad are great products. But I think that Apple is just focusing on those products and forgetting about who made them. The creators, the professional people. When I look at the new MacBook Pro, you can't type on that in a quiet room. So, for example, on a trade show, when you're in the instructor's room, it's often very quiet. And you can literally hear people typing on the new MacBook Pro, which makes a horrendous noise. Anyweek has the new MacBook Pro. It runs slower. It runs less long on the battery. It crashes a lot. And the big trackpad, it just doesn't make any sense. Why make a trackpad that big if you don't use an Apple Pencil to draw on? The touch bar, she hardly ever uses it. It's a nice gimmick, but you have to take your eyes off the screen, so no. And of course all the ports. She travels with a little bag with all the converters. It's a mess. Apple actually agrees, I think, because for the first time, I believe in their history, they actually announced that they are working on a new Mac Pro. I think the message should be, we start working on the new Mac Pro, because the release is actually only in 2018 or even maybe 2019. In all honesty, I can't wait that long. I need something now. Of course, the computer in the studio isn't a big chance for us to upgrade that to a PC. For the very simple reason, I use it for photo shoots, I use it for retouching, and well, that's about it. My laptop, that's a totally different story, because this laptop literally is almost as important as, well, the most important piece of gear that you have with you. I use it every single day. I sometimes say that thing just lives with me. I do the vlog on it, I do internet on it, and as long as I'm not behind a desk, which is almost all the time, I'm working on my laptop. So I need something that's reliable, that's very, very fast, and that's light when you travel. So all the dongles, no, I need something with connectors. So let's take a look at the DELL XPS15 and why I chose that one. Oh, wait a minute. I think I didn't give the explanation completely why I don't believe in Apple at the moment. As mentioned, in 2019 or 2018 they will come out with a new Mac Pro which will be modular. They will release very soon, they say, an iMac Pro. In my honest opinion, a Pro machine is something that runs on the latest hardware, on the fastest hardware possible, and that's expendable. Expendable? I think that's the right term. So you need to be able to put stuff in, like extra memory, extra drives. The old Mac Pro, you know, the big tower, that was a really pro device. And nowadays, I think that Apple is just more focused on making everything smaller, making everything easier for people to use, while in essence they make it more hard. So I don't want to wait till 2019 and to see what Apple brings out, and probably, when it's a modular system, I think you're going to pay through the nose. In other words, it will be incredibly expensive. Now, my whole PC over here, it's a blazingly fast system. It destroys my old Mac Pro and it cost me about 3,000 euros. This Dell is totally spec'd out. It's the fastest Dell possible and it only set me back around 2,100 euros. While if I want something similar in a MacBook Pro, which there isn't, because there is not a MacBook Pro that even comes close to the performance of this one, I will probably pay around 3,500 euros, because believe it or not, this one has a 1 terabyte drive, 32 gigs of memory, and I can still put 64 in, which I'm gonna do, by the way, because I love using also RAM drives. Okay, let's take a look at those two together, and you will very quickly see why I chose the Dell. Okay, now here we have them both next to each other with the same picture. And the first thing you'll notice is the size difference. The MacBook is just much larger than the Dell. And they're both 15 inches. Actually, the Dell is a 15.6 inch. But when I zoom out a little bit more, you can see that the Dell is just much smaller. And that's very simply explained. Look at the bezels on the MacBook. So you lose a lot of space there. Look at the bezels on the Dell. There hardly are any bezels. Now that has one disadvantage, and the disadvantage is actually that the webcam is placed on the bottom. So it's a little bit difficult to explain, but when you type to somebody, they will actually see your fingers. But it's a sacrifice I'm more than willing to do, because I can always use an external webcam, and in all honesty, the only time I use a webcam is when I have a conference call and I don't type, I just look down on the screen and it's okay. So for me it's no problem. If you are typing a lot between conference calls, it can be a problem, but the sacrifice you make doesn't weigh up to the advantage of no bezels, because it's really a difference. Now let's put those two on top of each other so you can really see the difference in size. Okay, here the Dell is on top of my MacBook Pro. I aligned them on the front, as you can see here. So let's go to the sides and you can see that there's a huge difference in size. Now, they are about the same width, there's a small difference, but especially the height is different. And that's because they use a different screen format. Which for me is no problem at all. And I think for most people it would be no problem at all. It's the difference between 16:9 or 16:10. And as soon as you set everything up, in my opinion, that extra little space saves me a lot of problems with choosing bags. I can just choose a bag that's a little bit smaller. And, well, to be totally honest, that's when you want to say something positive about it. The size doesn't really matter, guys. It's such a small difference. I just did it to show you that there is a difference. And a lot of reviewers will do like, it's the world. Oh man, look at the difference in size. I'm a professional user. I don't care that it's a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. It's nice, but in essence, it disappears in the same bag. I also don't care if it's like maybe a few ounces more heavy. It disappears in the same bag and there's a lot of gear in the bag. That bag is heavy. And I think that's what a lot of manufacturers at the moment do wrong. They focus on size, they focus on weight, and for a professional device, it doesn't matter. And of course, I don't want to have a big lumpy laptop that's very, very heavy, that has a huge power brick, because I do travel with them. But a difference like this, and maybe a few ounces, no problem at all. Okay, now this is where the real difference is. We have an SD card reader, thank you Dell. We have a USB, a battery indicator and a Kensington lock. Now that Kensington lock can be incredibly important on trade shows. On the other side, a headphone jack, we have a USB-C Thunderbolt, we have HDMI and another USB and a charging port. Of course, there are differences in build quality. For example, let's try opening up the two laptops with only one hand, because I vlog at the moment. First up, MacBook Pro. That's easy. Second up, the Dell. Yep. And there we go. Is that really important? Not really, but I do want to show you. Okay, what I do like about the Dell is actually the carbon fiber. It just looks a little bit nicer than the aluminium of the MacBook, but it's not a big difference. The touchpad, on the other hand, the MacBook, absolutely awesome. I still think this is the best touchpad out there. However, this is not a bad touchpad. Actually, it's pretty good. It feels a little bit different, but it's a very, very good touchpad. Okay, then the keyboard. Listen to the sound of these keys. Love to work on those. Listen to the sound of these keys. Not much of a difference, so that's great. Now, if I would show you guys the new MacBook Pro behind this, yeah, that's a big difference. By the way, let's walk to Anyweek and let's hear the difference. Okay, so let's listen to the new MacBook Pro. You hear the difference, right? I hope it translates well on this video, but it's a huge difference. It's the difference between being able to type somewhere and the difference between people looking really angry at you when you type. Okay, another really important thing when traveling is actually the power brick. So how big is the power brick? Well, this is the MacBook Pro's power brick. So let's fold it up really nicely. This is, by the way, no way the original or the official way to wind this up. So it's pretty compact. Now, what you can do with the MacBook, and this is something that I do like a lot, is you can actually remove this and use a connector here. So now you have a really small power brick when traveling, and this is pretty genius. And of course, this is still the MagSafe. Apple, why? This saved so many laptops. So anyway, so that's from the MacBook. Now, a lot of PC laptops, they have this huge power brick, and you don't want to travel with a huge power brick because that's horrendous. You want to travel as light as possible, right? The Dell is, well, somewhere in between. This is the power brick from the Dell. So it's nice. It's not as big. You can remove this, but you can't put it in the wall like this. So that's a shame. It's very well built. Let me fold it up. So it's pretty long, and there you go. So this is the power brick from the Dell. The only thing is, this is a non-standard connector. We call this the Mickey Mouse connector, and it means that you can't use the power cables which you use for example, charging your Razer or whatever. So normally when we travel, we try to bring as little as possible. So that means if I can use the power cord from my Razer actually to also charge my laptop, that's great because we only need to bring one power cord. But there's a really cool extra thing. Okay, you remember the USB-C connector, right? Great for hard drives, monitors. If you have Thunderbolt connectors, it's great for, well, it's just great. The other thing is you can also use it to charge. And the Dell actually supports also charging over USB-C. And this is where it got me a little bit puzzled. Why doesn't Dell just deliver a USB-C charger? And why do they choose for a normal charger? But okay, I don't know. Maybe they have both options or whatever. We tried yesterday with the charger from the MacBook Pro, so the original charger. I heard there are also other chargers out there that are not 100% safe. So guys, please make sure you use a certified charger for your MacBook. Now, that goes without saying, right? Because some of the cheaper knockoff stuff isn't 100% safe. But the original chargers should do fine. So we used Anyweek's MacBook charger on the Dell, and it actually charges. It's slower than the original charger, but it has no problem getting from, let's say, 80% to 100 or even from empty to 100. It's just a little bit slower. And because mostly we charge our laptops overnight, I see no problem at all by traveling just with one charger. Now during video editing, of course, the laptop has to stay connected to the power. So we tried it a little bit under stress and it didn't go down in power. So that's great, so we can use one charger. The other thing is, with USB-C charging, you can also use external batteries. Now during our stay in the States, we actually got a Rev Power, a big block where we can actually put in USB-C. And we're going to try tomorrow, and we're going to do another episode on that, if we can actually charge the Wacom Mobile Studio Pro with the Rev Power, and if we can charge the Dell with the Rev Power. So that's going to be in tomorrow's vlog. Because in all honesty, the next 2 weeks I took a little bit of time off, so that means that there's nothing really interesting going on for you guys for the vlog. So you will see less vlogs, but I will try to do stuff like this just in between. And if, by the way, if you're interested in how I set up the whole PC,
2 o'clock p.m.
It's 2 o'clock p.m. If you're interested in about seeing how I set up my whole PC experience to mimic what I'm used to the Mac, just let me know in the comments below and we'll take a look at that. For now, I have to get back to my copying, and then I'm going to retouch some of the images from Nadine, from Chinatown, Times Square, and a lot of other places, because we took a lot of shots from Nadine. When you travel with your model, why not? Hey guys, that was today's episode of Behind the Closed Doors. I'm done with retouching and then I'm going home and actually edit this video. And that will actually be the first time that we edit it on the Dell. As software, I'm gonna use Resolve 14, the new beta. It's really fast and I'm looking forward to seeing the results from the Dell. Subscribe to our channel, like, share and leave comments below. Thank you so very much for watching guys, and see you again tomorrow.